I realized I didn't say earlier when I was yelling out a guy named Tim's name. Tim is our CEO, Tim Cook. My plan is actually to have a playlist with these videos where a lot of his public speaking is put on display. As a side comment, anyone who wants to make a YouTube documentary should definitely use the playlist feature, because what you can do is you can draw on any clip on YouTube, and it's very empowering, because like a big part of like editing is like stock footage and contextualization footage, which for an amateur producer is going to be very difficult to buying that is going to be expensive and convoluted and stuff. But there's, and then because there's all sorts of copyright restrictions, you have to pay for it, do the due diligence. It's a lot of barriers. But there's hardly any barriers to adding another video to a YouTube playlist. But it almost has the same effect. You can sequence clips just as you would if you were an editor, and you can draw on like almost the entire YouTube clip reservoir. Wow, it's really bright. What was I talking? Oh, Tim, right. So I'm mixing in clips with Tim, and I just wanted to let you guys know, like, Tim is the CEO, and the reason that's relevant is that this guy talks a lot publicly about the importance of privacy, and he was like, he touched what's his name, Steve Jobs, like he was in the same room with him.
One theme that we want to ask everybody here, and one speaker at great length, is privacy. There seems to be this.
Sorry, Mark.
Sorry, I don't know if Mark's
He's
here, but hey, Mark. So there seems to have been a spate of mistakes or false starts or things that have to do with privacy where companies have had to retreat, whether it's things with Facebook, things with Google Buzz. There was
or Google's Wi-Fi collection recently.
Yeah, that Wi-Fi collection, that inadvertent. Yeah. Talk to me about that. How is privacy looked at differently in Silicon Valley than in the rest of America?
No, Silicon Valley's not monolithic. We've always had a very different view of privacy than some of our colleagues in the Valley. We take privacy extremely seriously. As an example, we worry a lot about location in phones. And we worry that some 14-year-old is going to get stalked and something terrible is going to happen because of our phone. And so, as an example, before any app can get location data, we don't make it a rule that they have to put up a panel and ask, because they might not follow that rule. They call our location services and we put up the panel saying, this app wants to use your location data. Is that okay with you? Every time they want to use it. And we do a lot of things like that to ensure that people understand what these apps are doing. That's one of the reasons we have the curated app store. We have rejected a lot of apps that want to take a lot of your personal data and suck it up into the cloud. A lot. So we're really old. A lot of people in the Valley think we're really old-fashioned about this. And maybe we are, but we worry about stuff like this.
But aren't you also going to be moving more into cloud-based things?
Are we going to be moving more into cloud-based things? Sure. But
and doesn't that inevitably get you? No.
Privacy means people know what they're signing up for in plain English and repeatedly. That's what it means. I'm an optimist. I believe people are smart. And some people want to share more data than other people do. Ask them. Ask them every time. Make them tell you to stop asking them if they get tired of you asking them. Let them know precisely what you're going to do with their data.
Okay.
That's what we think.
Thank you.
Okay, why don't we open up the...
We have a little... We're running a little late, but we certainly have time for some questions.
Steve Jobs personally appointed Tim as the CEO. It's very beautiful too, because like that's how it used to work with kings. Although they typically appoint their eldest son. which is like, I mean, okay, Tim Cook is like, what's his name? Steve Jobs' eldest son. And he's thinking to himself, well, does that mean he holds Steve Jobs' virtue and he's a champion of the old ways and a defender of the traditions of the ancestors? Yes. At least he says that's what what his mouth says when he opens it in front of cameras on MSNBC.
I spoke in Brussels about the emergence of a data industrial complex. At that gathering, we asked ourselves, what kind of world do we want to live in? 2 years later, we should now take a hard look at how we've answered that question. The fact is that an interconnected ecosystem of companies and data brokers, of purveyors of fake news and peddlers of division, of trackers and hucksters just looking to make a quick buck, is more present in our lives than it has ever been. And it has never been so clear how it degrades our fundamental right to privacy first and our social fabric by consequence. As I've said before, if we accept as normal and unavoidable that everything in our lives can be aggregated and sold, then we lose so much more than data. We lose the freedom to be human. And yet, this is a hopeful new season, a time of thoughtfulness and reform. And the most concrete progress of all is thanks to many of you.
And frankly, it sounds sincere. Like another interesting fact about him is that, I mean, he's just, what's the right word? He's made, what's the right word? Like, he decided to advocate for vulnerable groups out of an overtly personally motivated sense of compassion and excuse me. I don't know what the point right is. I don't want to do this. I also feel guilty that when hanging up on a person, I don't want to offend them. I wonder if I can try to get down the volume. No. Hey, I want a feature where I can roll the crown and just turn down the ringer. Apple Watch team, make it happen. Okay, Point Reyes is going away. Well, I mean, they're still there. They're called in SEC. I wonder who decides how long a call applies. I wonder how long that time is. It seems like, oh, let's not get sidetracked. So we're talking about Tim. Tim is, listen, I don't think Tim can be, you know how like you can watch enough of someone's public content to the point where it doesn't really seem like they could be totally fabricating their stuff. Like, for example, the CEO of Sedgwick. I'll definitely have some videos of that guy. That guy is an example of someone who's a total facade. Like, you know nothing about his personal life, and he's never spoken casually.
Today, 250,000 times a phone is going to ring at Sedgwick. On the other end of that phone is going to be a claimant, a homeowner, a car owner, a pregnant woman, somebody who's going to call and need something from us. 10,500 people today. When we got up to come down and enjoy this breakfast, they got us thinking they're going to work, that they're going to drive that car, that they're going to, do whatever their day was supposed to be. And today, 10,500 people are going to find out that something's going to happen. They're going to get hurt on the job. They're going to find out they have cancer. They're going to learn they're pregnant. They're going to get in a car accident. Their house is going to catch on fire. Something is going to happen to them today that is going to be an event that they didn't see coming. And by the end of today, they're going to be one of those 250,000 phone calls. They're going to call us. And I've been here 21 years, and it took me a long time to figure out how to explain what Sedgwick does. Because I, like probably many of you, somebody says, what do you do? I'm in insurance. When we got up to come down and enjoy this breakfast, they got us thinking they're going to work, that they're going to drive that car, that they're going to, do whatever their day was supposed to be. They're going to work, that they're going to drive that car, that they're going to, do whatever their day was supposed to be. That they're going to, do whatever their day was supposed to be.
Oh gosh, just watch some of the videos. It's hilarious. And then you could contrast that with Tim, because Tim definitely has a massively publicly manicured appearance, no doubt. But still, he's making choices. The things he says, you can take a high-level look at the messaging he chooses. I don't think it's inauthentic. I think Tim genuinely feels that way. I think he genuinely believes that privacy is a virtue beyond profit, and that it can serve the company in a way that's more consequential than, you know, pure profit. Serves society in a way that's more consequential than profit. We can have a superior service competing against lesser services. It's a very beautiful Santa Cruz woman over there. Anyway, oh, sorry. It's a very beautiful Santa Cruz man, which I like. He has long hair. I confused him. But all people are beautiful. I'm sorry to be preferential. Oh gosh, I shouldn't sidetrack myself. Oh gosh, this is especially stupid. Anyway, what was I gonna? Oh right, okay. So Tim, so Tim very concretely has a public image that is opposed to this. Tim has said we don't turn our customers into the product. Yet Sedgwick literally is the most factory mill widgetizing number on your forehead situation ever. And then beyond that, they obviously have a corporate culture that will allow them to switch towards aggressive fraud if a crime is revealed. Well, let me be clear, even if the initial enrollment was a mistake, which, I mean, the probability in my mind is less than 5%, lying to me about the enrollment and pressuring me to sign a false document makes it a fraud act. It doesn't matter if the initial act was a mistake. Furthermore, negligent. There's degrees of negligence that are so negligent that they are crimes, and this would qualify as one. So there's a 5% chance the first act was negligence. There's a 0% chance any follow-up acts were non-criminal. They were all criminal fraud. Anyway, so I just say that because Tim's public ethos says we should have never associated with this company, the Sedgwick Corp. I mean, honestly, Tim's public ethos says we should take care of our own. We should handle our own disability services. Well, that's another, I haven't been thinking about this goal, but a side goal is to find the idiot who made that decision and end everything that allows them to interact with my society. But back to the contrast between Tim's messaging and this situation. So Tim says we don't turn people into products. We have upfront business models that make the customer feel respected. As Tim says, we value privacy, which means we don't send invasive healthcare interviews to our employees, nor enroll them in disability involuntarily. What else does Tim do? Tim say? I mean, what you sell in your store says something about you, Tim. Why the hell are you selling Sedgwick to me? I'll be honest. I've thought daily about ending your legacy. But then I think, you're probably as far as I can tell, you're one of the most upright actors here. And I really want to see when this all gets washed out, what you think of it. If you think to yourself this isn't very complex and you just need to fire all the criminals and make an example of them. Yes. I think that's a good idea. That's what I would do. You're the king, Tim. Decapitate the traitors. Anyway, so I guess I just realized I was shouting out Tim's name, and it might not be clear to the entire audience who Tim is. Tim is the CEO of the wealthiest corporation on the planet. And corporations are in some ways more, they're like a more agile. They're not more potent than governments, but they are more like dynamic and agile. Like maybe you could think of a government as like a very old, like a member of society, like a village elder, who has like a sort of supervisory role and a regulatory role. But then like the corporations are sort of like the teenagers, maybe. You know, they're all like trying to develop these burgeoning personalities and, you know, find a way to anchor themselves in society as an adult. Anyway, so Tim in some ways is like a teenager, or well, he's the metaphoric head of a allegorical teenager. Where am I going here? Well, just the point I'm trying to get across is he has a lot of leeway. Like he could clip off a he could give the teenager a haircut, and the teenager would look very law-abiding afterwards. And then the village elder, the government, wouldn't have to criticize the unruly teenagers' silly hairstyles. Gosh, I get so lost in my allegories. What was I don't even remember what I was originally trying to communicate. Something about Tim. Oh yeah, well, like, let's just hope that Tim makes good decisions. Oh, and then Tim, just as a message, like, if you do watch this, that'd be so cool. I love this company so much. Oh gosh, I know enough about you to know you at least will be able to relate to me when I feel like we cannot have criminals of this class in our company. I see these people as, like, if you imagine people connecting as like three-dimensional shapes in some kind of large lattice, I imagine everyone who is connected or exposed to those people being vulnerable to criminality. I'm not complaining when I say this, but I am a crime victim, and not even related to this, and before this. And it's not pleasant. My goal is to make society less criminal, because I think that's a good progress. I think it makes things better. And these guys committed crimes, and it could have been against anyone. It could have been against any of your teammates, Tim. You still have 150,000 teammates depending on you. They haven't all been retaliatorily terminated yet. You know, no one stood for Brian when they came for Brian. And then no one stood for the next 150,000 when they came for the next 150,000. And then no one stood for Tim, because Tim didn't stand for no one. And then they came for you, Tim. That's the end of the story. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so now you guys know who Tim is. Now you guys know why his public messaging is so contrasting with whatchamacallit. With like these crimes, which has got to be like an archetypal scenario. The CEO is always going to be having a positive public message, and not accidental crimes, but you might call this just emerging from statistical variation, where just there's so many people at Apple that they're like a dice. They're like a 1,000-sided dice, where one of the numbers is crime, and each day 150,000 dice are rolling. We just roll some crimes. And so there's always going to be that contrast there. So I guess like this is maybe tying into how to fight big corporations. How do you leverage the outrage intrinsic to the dynamic where all company leadership will want to have a positive image, yet all corporate crime will be humiliating? If I can make this crime less humiliating for Apple leadership, they'll be motivated to help me clean up Apple. I don't want to feel like I'm bribing them, though. They should just help me clean up Apple because they love Apple. Okay, I mean, you're right, because maybe the more moral would just be to be very public and get the message out there super big. And then in front of the public, say to Apple leadership, we all know about this problem. And you know we know. And you know we have high expectations, and we will frown at you very intensely for disappointing our expectations. And in knowing this, you will feel intense compulsion to do the right thing, clean up the bad actors, and make Apple even more shiny. And we will, pointing fingers is a little aggressive. I don't think we should do that, especially as a crowd. That would maybe make them feel uncomfortable. And we should probably soften our expressions too, because really teamwork is a strength. We live in a very Pacific society. So we won't point, and we'll soften our expressions. And we will say to them that we are in a shared community and we have shared expectations of propriety based on our beautiful ideals of equity given to us by our ancestors. And emerging from these ideals of equity, we should have high standards in business. Which means no crimes. And when a crime is discovered, that person is expelled. Yes. Well, Tim, good luck. Yeah, and I mean, like, there's not going to be any mystery here. I'm definitely going to publish, like, how this goes. This is, which is actually fun. I can sort of see it from the audience, because, like, I'm in a sense, I'm the audience. I have no idea how this is going to end up. Like, I'm literally doing call-outs to the CEO of Apple at this point. How is this gonna end? Okay, and I'm also at InShape City, Capitola, 41st Street. I want to give you, 41st Avenue, excuse me, Santa Cruz. Or, Capitola and Santa Cruz are right next to each other. I never know which city I'm in. Am I in Live Oak? Gosh, there's so many. Let's call it Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz is a broad umbrella of beauty. So I have no idea how this is gonna go. I'm at 41st Street, InShape, which was my original gym. It was also the place I was offered a $800,000 bribe. Oh, it was hilarious. Like they literally had a person pretend to be, or not just like a person joined my gym, and then like started a conversation with me, and then talked about how, what was her wording? How she had friends who were harassed, and what else? Oh, and how her friends had taken a $800,000 payout, but the friend had to never talk about Apple again. And then let me also say, like, well, let's not talk about the quantity of the bribe there, but I almost felt like they were trying to choose a random number. You know how like someone will throw out a specific number, but the number's just made up, and they choose a number that sounds specific to make it sound potent or relevant. I think that's like where did $800,000 come from? That's such a random number. Anyway, I like justice is like not even all 200 billion of your Apple dollars could buy my silence, Tim. Don't you dare try to bribe me. The only dollars that can sway this moral compass is justice dollars. Jollers. Well, okay, whatever. See you guys. Oh, and I will say, so 41st Street, InShape. The good facilities, definitely one of Santa Cruz's best gyms. You guys need to leadership, InShape leadership, you guys need to watch staffing here, because sometimes the teenagers slack off a bit and they'll literally stop washing the steam room for an entire week. And I'll go so far as to say I've like filled up my own water bottle in the pool and used it to like wash off the steam. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is an embarrassing feedback to get, and we need to maintain quality. Yes, I'm acclimated to Equinox standards. For context, I'd like to do like this Antique City is I believe $79 a month. Equinox is $425 a month. And I'm thinking if either is worth it. I don't want to think about that. Let's fight this war.